Hi everybody, welcome to Big Fish, Little Fish on a Sunday. I am the little fish, which means this guy here is here, this way, the other way, that way, is the big fish. Hello, big fish.
Morning, Michael. Great to be Kurow today. I mean, Kurow Cup Day, and I tell you what, they've got one heck of a field. We've seen some good horses go around at Addington the last 2 weeks, but I think this Kurow Cup field is one of the better fields I've seen, and a few of these will progress to the open class ranks, and a couple of them we need to talk about, especially the likes of Spirit of St. Louis and Minstrel. They're two pretty smart horses.
Yeah, 10 races go there. So obviously this is the first time since lockdown, the first lockdown, we've been away from either Invercargill, Alexandra Park, Cambridge or Addington, obviously. So it's great to see racing go back to the region. So hope everybody who's in North Otago gets a chance to enjoy having horses in the region, even if you can't go to the races. I think there's no one allowed, unfortunately, but let's hope all the stops soon. Off to the racing stuff, though. The Cup, the Golden Fleece Hotel Cup is a beauty, Craig. He's a good horse, Spirit of St. Louis. He's going to need to be because he's going to have to come from well back in the field. And Oamaru can be a tricky track. I just think he might have the class to overcome it because that last win at Addington, that was a beautiful drive, but gee, it was a lovely.
He's a very, very good horse. As I said to you when we did a podcast probably a couple of weeks ago, we really don't know how good he is because we've seen it in Addington in a couple of occasions, but most of his form has been in the deep south, and he's beaten what he's raced convincingly down there. Big step up here, not only in class, but also taking off a handicap. He's on 30 metres here. I tell you what, there's a very, very smart horse off the front in Minstrel. I love the way he's trialling, Michael. Of course, we haven't seen him since he ran third to Copy That in One Change. That was in the Vero Flying Stakes. He wasn't beaten a big margin that day, and they went at 154, I think, last mile. He trialled the other day. He's won both of his trials back. Both times he stepped brilliantly to be handy or in front. Gee, I like him, Michael. I think he is one of the better bets of the day. Interesting, the horse that ran second in with that trial last week was AG's White Sox. I clocked him running home at 54.9. Minstrel is going real good.
The other thing, too, is I'm a huge Spirit of St. Louis fan. And Graham Anderson, when I spoke to him during the week, he said, look, we're going to nominate for the New Zealand Cup. So they're going to be in play for the New Zealand Cup. But if you like two horses in a race and one's going to lead and the other one's going to be last, it just picks itself because the leading ones beat them 8 times out of 10, maybe even more. So I wouldn't be surprised that Spirit of St. Louis could beat him, but I take your point. I might even be market dependent. I think the money on the tote punters, Craig, might come for Spirit of St. Louis because he's better known and he's going to have a spread geographically. A lot of people have seen him, whereas Minstrel probably won't have that love from the deep south. It's going to be.
Well, I think he's a bit of a hype horse, Spirit of St. Louis, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got that. He deserves to be.
And when you've won a 8 from 12, you deserve to have that reputation. Also, the All-Stars will take a bit of money with the likes of Italian Lads. So there will be money for other horses in the race. But I think, dependent, as you say, on what price you can get on Minstrel, I think he's a really nice chance.
Well, you could potentially back both of them to win as well. I think Italian Lad's in a sticky spot. He's a very good horse, but gee, this is a big leap in class for him. Talk about hype horses. One of your hype horses, Chinese Whisper. He's in race 7. Haven't seen him away from home very often in the past. Up against a Midnight Dash, who's been really good in actually open class races at Addington. So, look, Chinese Whisper to beat Midnight Dash is going to need to go very, very well. I have no doubts he has the ability to do that. Whenever a horse has manners concerns, Craig, I get funny the further they travel from home.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I think with Chinese Whisper, it depends on what headspace he's in. And what Nathan has said in the last fortnight, he's in the right headspace. And he's trotted away faultlessly both times. And he's been pretty good, Michael. He came from a long way back to win last week. So it's interesting because Midnight Dash was driven out of his comfort zone last week. He was outside Cracker Hill and he was doing plenty of work. And he only faded late. Prior to that, he'd run second in Majestic Man. He'd been behind some pretty smart horses in the last couple of weeks, including the likes of Matuatana. So he's pretty well screwed down to be an open class trotter of the future. So it's a race in 2. I'm not convinced either way, Michael, but I do think one of those two will take out the event.
I think Midnight Dash has surprised me more since lockdown than any horse in New Zealand. There's a lot of horses who have gone really well, but I absolutely didn't see him being able to compete with the open class horses as a 3-year-old. I know he was basically a 4-year-old, but man, Craig, he's been good. Talking about, sorry?
I'll tell you just quickly, how good is our 4-year-old trotting brigade at the moment? We've got Ultimate Stride, Cracker Hill. We've got Midnight Dash, who's probably not rated in the top 4 or 5. Last week we saw the very smart Greg and Nina Hope trotter win, Muscle Mountain. Gee, well, this is one of the stronger brigades.
And we've got Ultra Brilliance hanging around up north, waiting for them. Because see, they've got to come north. Like I spoke to Brad Williamson about this. The 3-year-old size stakes race, because they're over the 3-year-old races are going obviously early in the 4-year-old season. He said our horse isn't as good right-handed, but they've got to go. So really interesting, because Ultra Brilliance is a really good horse. Obviously, he beat all those horses, or almost all of them, in the Jewels at 2, which seems about 10 years ago. It's going to be really good when they get to Alexandra Park. It's a remarkable horse.
They're all open class horses. They will all make the grade. So that makes our trotting ranks for next year very strong.
Another horse who's really good, I'm not sure how good, is American Lightning. He's in race 10 today, off a 15-metre handicap. Again, I spoke to Graham Anderson. He wasn't concerned about him. He won't be coming north because, believe it or not, he wasn't paid up for the 2-year-old size stakes.
Right.
So he's actually qualified to race in the size stakes because he finished 3rd in the kindergarten, which is a qualifying race, but he's not paid up. So he's not going to come north, so he's going to knock around down south. He's a pretty good horse too, Craig.
Very good horse. He's a funny horse because he's a real midget. He's not very big. He's a little American Ideal that covers the ground very quickly. I think he's a very sharp and quick 400 to 800 metre sprint horse. He starts off 15 metres here, and he's never been from a stand. So just be a little bit wary on him, Michael. They'll open him up very short. He could be under $1.50. And I'm not saying he can't win that race because he's clearly the best horse in that race. But there's a couple of things you need to consider. A, he's in a very big field. Also, he's never been from a stand, and he's off a handicap. And yeah, just be very careful on him tomorrow.
Graham thought he'd be good from the stand, but I'll take what you're saying. I mean, most trainers tell you they think horses will be good from the stand, but I had a good talk to him on Monday or Tuesday, and he thought he would be good from the stand. Away from those really good races, because there's some good horses racing at Oamaru at Kurow today, or Kurow at Oamaru. What else do you like?
Like a trotter in race number 5, Steel Dust. Used to be Terry McMillan, now with the Regan Todd team, and he was always a trotter I felt that could win 4 or 5 races. Again, manners have let him down in the past. He's had a couple of runs back for Terry, and he actually went good at a couple of trials prior to those races. He's in off the front over 2,600 metres, barrier 4. He's got not a lot of form, but the bookmakers, couple of stables, they keep very tight, and Regan Todd's is one of them because he's a very, very good strike rate trainer. But I think Steel Dust is actually a very nice horse. Wouldn't have to improve much to take out that trot.
Actually, Regan's now got the fixer too, the former New Zealand Cup winner.
Yeah, I understand he's been on the beach there. Johnny Magnus owns him, and talking to him, he was said down there. So,
mate, for those who want to have a punt throughout the month of August, racing is going to continue at levels 2 and 3, which is great news because at level 4 last time, God, I was bored off my nut, Craig. So for those who want to have a punt on your selections because they don't do their own form, where do they go? Go
to the website, Michael. That subscription special runs out at the end of this month. So I've got a couple of weeks if you want to get involved in that. It's a month for $39, www.walesharness.co.nz.
Good talking to you, big fish. I won't be seeing you over the next couple of days, but at some stage, hopefully we can go back to the cafe and have a coffee and talk about harness racing stuff. Good on you, buddy. Thanks for taking us time to tip us for a few winners for the Kurow meeting at Oamaru today.